Maureen Kenney. Maureen has had 25 years experience at Fortune 500 companies such as General Dynamics, Delhaize America, Hospital Corporation of America, and has recently joined the consulting services team at McDonald Page. Maureen was one of the first people chosen for a Hanley Fellowship and the first non-physician. It is presented to someone who makes a difference improving access and healthcare quality in Maine. At the time, Maureen was administering the self-insured health program at Bath Iron Works. Maureen is happiest when she creates, whether it's redesigning an organizational structure, creating a new piece of jewelry, rearranging a room, or making sense from total chaos. She lives in Cumberland Foreside with her husband and has 3 beautiful daughters. Her husband tells us that she's obsessive-compulsive, detail-oriented, and needs to get to the airport 2 hours early to be sure of connections. Her friend Linda Oliver says Maureen is deliberate and mindful. She thinks about what she wants to do in life and in the world and makes changes. She stands, never sits, at her desk. She is constantly moving with powerful, positive energy, and you know that when you're around her, you're going to have fun. So, what can we say? Let's have some fun with Maureen Kenney.
So thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm really delighted to share a passion that I have for beading. And I wanted to take you on this artistic, nomadic journey because it didn't really start with beading. I started in my early teens wanting to be a photographer. And so with my first paycheck, I bought a Canon camera, which I still have and use and cherish today. I meandered into pen and ink drawings, painting with acrylics, watercolor. I did cross stitch, needlepoint, also did lots of sewing and quilting. And it was this foray into the textile arts that led me first to discover beads. So this is an embellishment on a simple red velvet dress that my daughter wore for a birthday party. And I was amazed at how I could create a festive and fun dress with just a handful of colorful and wonderful glass beads. So then I started looking for small projects I could make over the weekend. I started making Christmas ornaments, and the first one I made went horribly wrong. So you see it as a candle sock. So what do you do with mistakes? You retitle them and move on. I love beads so much, I actually hired a local carpenter to build me a beading desk. So you see my beading desk with my materials, my very large magnifying glass light, and just a handful of the types of beads that I use. I must have hundreds of thousands of loose beads. I went through a phase of necklaces. I've probably made 200 or 300 necklaces. And so here's a sampling. I like just stringing some Swarovski crystals together. I've made fused glass beads and precious metal clay beads and on and on and on. I went through a phase of amulet purses, so I probably made 50 or 60 of these, and I share this one because it's got a signature design. I love the confetti design. I love starting with just handfuls of beads and transitioning from one color scheme to another without a pattern. I probably made about 50 or 60 of those. I did some small loom projects, and this is where I discovered Delica precision cut glass beads. This is one of the few pieces I made where I actually used bent wire. And it's the only one I made really that came out well, so I have abandoned the wire part and stuck with the beads. So this is the journey now where I stumbled into tapestries and creating pictures with beads. And I love the way this silhouette just jumps out at you from the white background. And it really made me think, what else could I do with simple little beads? My signature design again. And I share this with you because this is the loomer's dilemma. You've got the beads done on your loom, and you want to keep it there because you know that there's twice again as much work to do once you take it off the loom. but you see part of the process there of removing it from the loom. That gave me the courage to create some of my own designs. So I'm a native Maina. I love lobster. And so this is one of the designs that I created, and it's got the silver-lined glass beads that reflects light right back at you. So designing my own designs, this one is actually off loom. And what that means is you have to put each individual bead on one at a time. So I made this one for a Bowdoin College student that you see pictured for his graduation from Bowdoin College. Once I started making things for people or for things that were important in my life, this was one that I created for my dog, of course. Ginger passed away in 2007, and I captured her in the window with her paws up on the window pane, with her little ear cocked, with her fashionable little red collar, waiting for us patiently to come home. This is a design that I created for my daughter who loves Paisley, loves Brad Paisley, everything Paisley. And when I showed it to my husband last summer, he said, "Wow, that's really great. You've been beading for a long time, almost 20 years, and you've never made anything for me." So he's like, oh my goodness, he's right. So I know he loves the Southwest. And I found a design that he particularly likes, the man in the maze. And I set about making this with the brightest, most wonderful, colorful beads that I could find. This is the second in a series for him that I'm making, another Southwest design, the Kokopelli with his flute. And I wanted to show this picture because you can see the materials that I use, of course the loom itself, but simple string and needle and pen and paper and beads and scissors. And this is the close-up. I love being able to look at the beads, see how they capture and reflect the light. You can see some of the weaving underneath the beads themselves. That's part of the finishing process. And of course there are many steps to this that I can't go into in detail, but this is my latest project, and this is where I'm really combining two passions, one for World War II and my love for beading. It's a Thankful Generations project. I'm hoping to create about a dozen different beaded tapestries. This is actually 3 different panels, this top one that you just saw, plus the other 2 that move farther away and seem to fade, just like memories do over time, with the caveat that we should never forget. And so I'm hoping to use other National Archives photos like the one used here. It's a Maureen from Saipan in 1944. This other picture, to pay homage to my work at BIW for 14 years, I wanted to capture something from the shipbuilding industry. So hopefully in a few years you'll see me back here presenting my Thankful Generations project and all of the various bead tapestry designs that I'm able to create. Thank you very much.
What a wonderful, wonderful start to the program. Linda was right. Maureen's a lot of fun, and the Thankful Generation project looks outstanding. I really want to see that.